and had seen but little of life in those days, whereas I had traveled a lot even then for my age. It is the accident of this long friendship and my travels in obscure and unfrequented parts that brought me into the circle of the strange doings I am about to relate, to which by good luck I held the key. I am in no way the hero of the piece, if hero in the conventional sense there be at all, not even the protagonist, as the Greeks used to call it. I am merely the handyman of the play, so to speak, who chanced into the middle of this unconventional drama at its height, and helped to see it through to a conclusion as strange as anything which has ever occurred in the whole annals of this country. And I have been asked by the other actors in this bizarre play, in very real life, to collate the facts and document them for themselves and such others as may be interested in these things beyond the door of the unreal, though, for reasons which will become obvious, they can hardly be released for general indiscriminate publication. To the ordinary stay-at-home person of both sexes, who does not travel, eats eggs and bacon for breakfast every day, and does not realize a yard outside Little England, they will seem merely absurd, the imaginings of an ill-balanced mind. Yet none the less they happened actually on and within the very few miles of the Brighton road in the second decade of this modern age of motoring. I am no expert in telling an extraordinary story and making it convincing, but I have an instinctive feeling that, in trying to do so, one has a better chance of carrying conviction by telling it as far as possible in the first person, without too much underlining of the capital I's, or seeking the limelight for oneself, filling up the inevitable gaps and interstices with actual documents and statements by such other immediate actors in the drama as can tell their part of the story firsthand. So when this story ceases to be direct and straightforward, it will be documented, vouched for, and, as far as possible, dated. This is my apology for obtruding myself at the expressed desire of the others concerned in these extraordinary happenings. Document. From the Sussex Daily Times, February 4th, 19 The Mystery of the Brighton Road. During the early hours of yesterday morning, too late to be reported in our issue of yesterday, a two-seated car was discovered apparently abandoned nearly halfway up Handcross Hill. It was in the ditch on the left-hand side of the road, and had wedged itself securely. The tail lamp and offside lamps were still burning, but the engine had stopped. It was discovered by a Mr. Holmes, who was motoring back to London from Brighton. He stopped and called out, but getting no reply, he concluded that the inhabitants had run into the ditch, and being unable to get the car out again, had gone in search of help. It was full moon and a very clear night, and as there was no sign of anything wrong or anybody hurt, Mr. Holmes, being late, drove on. He stopped, however, at the police station at Handcross, and notified the officer in charge. A constable was dispatched upon a bicycle, and returned in due course to report that apparently there was nothing wrong. He had found the rug lying a short distance from the car, and had replaced it on the seat. He saw no sign of anybody, though he had cooeed and blown his whistle several times. He was sent back to take charge, and as the necessary lamps were burning and the car was on its own side of the road, he apparently made himself as comfortable as possible with the rug wrapped round him, and dozed off and on in the car. As soon as it grew light enough, a breakdown party was dispatched, and the car was extricated from the ditch. It proved not to have been much damaged, and was taken to the station, where the first sign of anything seriously wrong became evident. On the cord upholstery of the seat there was a large stain of congealed blood frozen hard. This placed a totally different complexion upon the matter, and steps were immediately taken to inform the higher authorities. The car, which was a 12-horsepower Rover, bore the identification number BP 318726, showing that it was a local one, BP being the identification letters for West Sussex. And in the course of the morning it was discovered to be the property of Mr. George Bolsover, a young gentleman farmer of Highbury Farm, near Crawley. Inquiries elicited that he had gone out the evening before, about 5:30, in his car with his wife to spend the evening with a friend at Hassocks, Mr. Glentyre of Orchard Place. He had arrived at Orchard Place with Mrs. Bolsover shortly after 6 o'clock, and had played billiards with his host until dinner time. After dinner